Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, it is I am the one and only Silver the Hedgehog here, and I am back for the likes of the Maxi Toys videos. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of Donkey Kong Country 2 for the Game Boy Advance version released in 2004 as a remake. So, last time, we've essentially did manage to fully complete the 7th world in the game, which appears to be the Flying Croc. And overall though, it was actually kind of lengthy, because no matter what though, mainly due to the fact that we need to find those specific collectibles ranging from gold feathers as well as camera pictures, and not to mention though, we did indeed manage able to conclude the final mission in terms of Funky's Flights 2, and on top of that, we did somehow manage able to beat the likes of Captain K. Rool in K. Rool's duel. Well, despite the fact that the entire game itself is not exactly over yet, because obviously if you couldn't tell, about the fact that he ended up in the Lost World. So because of this though, yeah, today for this video, speaking of which though actually, this is gonna be the true finale of our Let's Play of Donkey Kong Country 2 for the Game Boy Advance version, and so much so, we're about to be going into the final main world in the game, in World 8, which appears to be the Lost World. So, with that being said though, is about the fact that let's go ahead and use the gyrocopter here, and as a result though, we can able to go back into the 6th world, which is of course K. Rool's Keep, because as far as I'm aware, yes, there is still no estimation mark on there. Well, that's the reason for this. It's because, well, after we've got the last batch of Creme coins, ever since on World 7, this means we can now able to actually unlock the final level in the Lost World before the true final boss in the game. So let's go back into Clopper's cost right here, and as a result though, let's go ahead and pay the final 15 Creme coins in order able to actually unlock the final platforming level before you hit on to the true final boss in the game. And thankfully though, unlike the forms of how it does it in not only for the original Super Nintendo version, alongside with maybe Donkey Kong Land 2. Thankfully though, we can able to go into those levels without needing to backtrack on any other worlds for that matter in order able to go into these specific levels. So, with that said, let's go and get the Lost World started with the forms of Jungle Jinx. So, as far as I'm aware, certain stages does manage to take place in a jungle environment, and one of those levels is usually takes place in the Icicle Caverns, and then another one of those levels is going to take place in the fiery, volcanic, or in some cases the volcano environment. And on top of all that stuff though, with the final level as we somehow unlocked earlier, which appears to be Animal Antics, I think it's basically a combination of those different level themes here and there. Well, apart from one in particular exception to this, however though, which then again though is probably best if we save that particular topic if we get onto this particular discussion at this point. So because of this though, yeah, there's nothing else I can really say about this, I guess, apart from the fact that, well, I think, fundamentally speaking, it was about the fact that it might be possible for us at this point that we can able to actually guarantee to get ourselves the final batch of those collectibles, except with Creme coins, because as far as I'm aware, we've done basically collecting every single Creme coins, because it's now been replaced. Well, for instance though, in each and every single levels in the Lost World only contains one bonus area, so we don't have to necessarily try to worry about trying to find like 3 or 2 bonus areas in each level, unlike the previous stages. So with that being said, so yeah, let's go and use the attack action right here in order to able to actually deal with these dragonfly enemies. And then as you can see, rather than just giving you the Creme coin, so instead you're able to get yourselves the video game hero coins. So again, I will admit though right away, I apologize for my commentary, it's a little bit slightly iffy at points, but that's just mainly because as far as I'm aware, that basically though, it wasn't until tomorrow that basically though, or in some cases later tonight, for those of you who lived in America, that the Game Rewards is definitely going to be coming today. So because of that though, although I'm afraid to tell you for this point guys, it wasn't until when it gets to the point until next week that we can able to actually discuss upon every single aspect in terms of the forms of the Game Rewards up to this point. So from now on though, there are some other topics I would like to point things out, and that's what appears to be for the fact that yes indeed, about the fact that today's date of course there is the 12th of December today, in some cases in 2024 today, that not only for the fact that in the UK version, well, we've only got about 9 days left until that particular film releases for Sonic the Hedgehog 3 movie, and meanwhile, on the North American version, or American version in general, well, they somehow got 8 more days left until that particular film is about to be releasing, alongside with the films of Mufasa the Lion King, of course, which that'll be a topic for later time, so to speak. And relatively speaking, that was about the fact that meanwhile in Japan has to wait until for about approximately 2 weeks left now, or specifically 14 days later, or yeah, just 14 days in general, just because, as I established that before, the Japanese, time zone is a lot different compared to the forms of how it does it not only in the UK country, but alongside with the forms of the America country as well. So yeah, you might able to actually notice about this right from the start. So anyway, so yeah, for the most part though, is about the fact that the Lost World itself is indeed, is without a doubt, is the hardest world in the entire game, mainly due to the fact that, as you can tell, in Jungle Jinx level, as you can tell, we have to get a lot of usage on the forms of those bouncy, big bouncy tires, as you can tell, and basically though, if you don't dodge those well enough, whenever they come straight towards you, then obviously though, it will just knock you straight into the bottomless pit, so you have to watch out for that. So anyway, so that pretty much does it for Jungle Jinx, and now let's move on to the next level. That's what appears to be Black Ice Battle. So obviously, as I stated before, this particular level does manage to take place in the Ice Cavern, similar to the forms of how it does in certain stages in World 6, which is of course K-Roll's Keep. So, jeez, those little clobbers right there just decide to get on my nerves at points. So, well, it's nothing too major on these yellow ones, but the black ones are, much more dangerous, more than ever will be. So, but either way, you probably already know what I mean if we go on to the next level after this. So, and usually, relatively speaking, I was about the fact that using Dixie Kong in this stage is more than welcoming, especially concerning for the fact that you can able to avoid a lot of enemies, such as the forms of those zingers right here, and on top of that is about the fact, how the heck did it's one of those boomerang projectile things that one of those enemies did somehow manage to toss at us, so, oh well, no big deal. Oh, jeez. Yeah, you see that right there? Obviously, though, if you get knocked by the forms of these black variants of those cloppers, basically though, it just takes your life away. So yeah, it's pretty dangerous, all things considered. So anyway, now if I recall correctly, that the gold feather is going to be quite well hidden, but thankfully though, I somehow managed to spot that familiar sprite of that particular gold feather just somehow tilts back and forth in between left and right. So, and also there's a camera here, so. And as far as the bonus area is concerned, that's gonna be exactly, like, let's just say this spot right here. So, because thankfully though, as soon as you're able to actually see a bunch of bananas there, as well as that familiar treasure chest, well, that pretty much signifies that once you do manage to able to toss the treasure chest right at the forms of any of those zingers, then obviously though, it reveals the cannonball itself. So yeah, and once again, much like the forms of how it does it in ever since in Slime Climb or something, basically though, we need to deliver the cannonball right at the forms of the cannon itself. So either way, once you've done so, then we can pretty much able to actually get into the only bonus area in this entire stage. So yeah, nothing else to be more discussions about this. So but again, using Dixie Kong is going to be super helpful with this part, especially that if you would normally try to use Diddy Kong with that particular bonus area, well, good luck for trying to able to avoid a lot of those zingers whenever you try to deal with the forms of leaps of faith and such. So, but anyways though, let's just go ahead and dodge some more zingers here. Dang it, I lost Dixie Kong, but that's okay, because, well, straight to the point though, I believe this is now onto the final stretch. So there we go. Black Ice Battle is pretty much done, so not too shabby. So, and there's something worth noting for actually, is about the fact that there's actually a lot of Christmas posters has been popped up for the likes of the third Sonic the Hedgehog movie, which as a result though, one of those parodies I did somehow manage to able to recognize. That's what appears to be Home Alone, which I'll explain more details about that later, because for now, let's get into the forms of the next level in the Lost World, and that's what appears to be Clobber Carnage. So, out of all of the actual stages in this entire world, or the entire game I should say, this level is pretty tough, mainly because of one specific thing, or actually technically, quite a number of things we're able to actually brought ourselves into. Like for one, obviously though, this stage is filled to the brim with a lot of cloppers, ranging from green variants to yellow variants to occasional red ones with TNT barrels, and of course the most dangerous one of them all though is the black ones, which, like I stated before, it actually takes your life away. And also we got ourselves a familiar mechanic right here, ever since enduring at some point in, I would classify as saying since in World 3, if possible. That's what appears to be the returning controllable rotating barrels with the actual countdown timer. So yeah, you might be familiar with that. And there's going to be a rotating barrel thing coming up, which, unlike the defaults of how it does on any other barrels, that it does able to show us a timer. Well, that's not the case as soon as we're able to actually continue things on in this level. Well, after dodging a lot of those cloppers here, and so much so for the fact that once we're able to actually get past this point right here, I believe thankfully though, is about the fact that the DK Hero coin is going to be in every single bonus areas in the Lost World for sure, and it's also worth noting for as well, speaking of which, in regards to the bones of the bonus areas and the gold feather in mind, luckily those specific things are actually at the end of the level, so thankfully we don't have to worry about trying to keep on searching all over the place when it comes to dealing with the forms of some very tricky levels like this. So yeah, you probably get the gist of it. So and I believe, fundamentally speaking, it was about the fact that the camera item is going to be coming up later. So yeah, this is the barrel I was talking about when it comes to this particular rotating icon there. So as you can tell, it does not show us a timer, unlike the defaults of how it does it on any other rotating barrels that you can able to actually change directions with. So generally speaking, I was about the fact that, well, as long as you were trying to able to avoid a lot of those things at once, ranging from zingers, and you probably name the rest. So yeah, the camera item is just right there. Even though it's a shame about the fact that once we're able to actually get into Donkey Kong Country 3 until next year for the Game Boy Advance, it's a shame about the fact that the camera item will not make a comeback during that particular remake, which it's kind of unfortunate because, relatively speaking though, between both Donkey Kong Country 1 as well as Donkey Kong Country 2 for the Game Boy Advance, that the camera item is actually a pretty cool feature to able to add it in for the sake of collectibles and stuff, because I still have no idea why that the third game on the Game Boy Advance is pretty much absent with that feature. I'm guessing it's basically decided able to take over for more banana birds you can able to try to find. Well, again, we'll talk more about that particular version until specifically, you know, as I stated before, until next year for some time. So anyway, luckily we did manage to able to keep Diddy Kong in our hands because, well, not only we can able to actually grab the gold feather, but in addition to that, the only bonus area we can able to get in here. So either way, and for that particular bonus area we can able to get into, basically though, you have to activate the invincibility thing right there, and just simply just trying to kill as many of those zingers as possible, and obviously don't touch the spikes because otherwise though, the bonus area will be done for good. So although I'm pretty sure it's possible if you keep on making mistakes, well obviously though you can able to try again, luckily, unlike the defaults of how it does it on some stages though, that there's no way we can able to try that again if possible. So either way, so that pretty much does it for Clobber Carnage right here. It is the true definition of a carnage indeed, just because there's all too much all happen at once, so with all his clopper enemies and all that. So here we go on to the next level, which is Fury Furnace. So yeah, this level is also very tricky as well, if only because no matter what though, not only with this very ridiculously fast speeds with those porcupine enemies, but it's also the main gimmick about this level. As you can tell, we are once again getting able to take control of the forms of the barrel manually, except this time it actually shows us a directional pad icon, which means you can able to actually move the barrel anywhere else while trying to move. So yeah, that's actually a pretty cool concept in Fury, but much like the forms of how it does it on these rotating barrels you can able to change directions with, it does show us a time limit, so we have to be very fast on this part, because otherwise, if you don't go too fast at all, obviously though you will die. So Especially in this part right here, that as you can tell, the barrel is now going to be facing downwards, so if you automatically shoot downwards, then you'll plummet to death into the lava itself. So either way, luckily we've already got the gold feather from earlier, so I suppose it really doesn't matter to the grand scheme of things. So but anyways though, oh, there's also another thing else that's worth noting for actually, is about the fact that recently though, for I've just found out that the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, potentially speaking of, is about the fact that with the Nintendo Sound Alarm Clock, in some cases alarm mode, actually now has a new update, which does manage to feature the theme based off from Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and fundamentally speaking though, it does manage to contain 7 tracks, so like, you know, musical tracks in theory. So as far as I'm aware, my guess is about the fact that the music tracks they do have are basically just nitro tracks based off from Mario Kart 8 in general, ranging from Mario Kart Stadium and Dolphin Shores and Twisted Mansion and Electrodrome, and as well as Bowser's Castle, and I think that's as far as I can try to describe it. Well, mind you about the fact it has been about quite a few days since that Sonic did somehow mention about quite a lot of stuff relates to Mario Kart 8 or Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, all thanks to the existence of the Boosticles Pass DLC. So anyway, and so much to the point about the fact that, dang it. Oh well, no big deal, because aside from the fact that sometimes though, you know, enemy placements can get in your way sometimes, well, usually relatively speaking, I was just about the fact, gosh darn it, I get hit by the zinger. Oh well, no big deal. So anyways though, and there's also another thing else that's worth noting for, a bunch of release dates have been confirmed for the likes of the films of the last stretch, for the sake of the films of Fearless Year of Shadow content, which appears to be, not only Shadow becomes a playable character in Sonic Dream Team, but as well as from that though, is about the fact that yes indeed, movie Shadow from not only Sonic Forces Speed Battle, but as well as the films of Sonic Dash as well, it's gonna be almost approaching up to this point, which I can't really tell what the date is going to be happening, for the sake of not only Sonic Forces Speed Battle, but as well as the forms of Sonic Dash as well, and also about the fact that recently during the forms event today, well, at least specifically in America anyway, obviously the movie Shadow content has already been released for Sonic X Shadow Generations today in America. So generally speaking, I was about the fact I'm sure a lot of Sonic fans out there will be pretty excited able to actually finally get a chance to play as movie Shadow in Sonic X Shadow Generations. But here's the catch to this though. Basically though, is about the fact that before that's been released, as a matter of fact, basically though, Sega just revealed some more details about Shadow Tokyo Mission DLC. Like for instance though, Sega is set to unleash the long-awaited Shadow movie themed downloadable content for Sonic X Shadow Generations on multiple platforms, and today, the company revealed, or in some cases it did happen about 6 days ago roughly, and basically though, is about the fact that the company revealed a little more about of what to expect when the DLC launches until recently today in America, and they did state this. The Tokyo Mission stage will contain 2 acts, similar to the forms of how it does it on most of these stages from Shadow Generations, and in addition to that, out of nowhere, they're also trying to include challenges as well, and will possibly contain a boss fight itself as well. But then again though, I'm probably not going to mention more about that particular boss fight by the way, just because it will contain spoilers based off from the Sonic Movie 3, and thus not to mention though, I need to wait until I see the film first before I dive into the actual DLC itself first. So for the time being anyway, I'm also able to actually go back on playing Super Mario Party Jamboree for a while, so just in case I can able to actually achieve some more achievements and all that stuff. So that'll be my part of the plan. So anyway, and moving on, the voice of movie version of Shadow is only been available in the English, so it is also being played only use the movie version of Shadow in the DLC, meaning that you can't play as him indie-based Sonic X Shadow Generations game. So, yeah, that's a bit of a bummer though, especially I would have liked able to try to take on not only BioLizard, but alongside with the forms of Metal Overlord, and not to mention though, Mephiles the Dark from the likes of the forms of Sonic 06, and as a result though, it's a bit of a bummer though that we can't play as movie Shadow anywhere else. So, and they did somehow manage able to point things out with two different followings. So, for instance, the voice of for the movie version of Shadow is only available in English, even if the audio language is set to something other than English. It will be played in English because it makes sense, concerning for the fact that Keanu Reeves is the English actor or something like that who speaks English. So, anyways, and the second fact about this is about the fact that the movie version of Shadow will only appear in the acts and challenge acts added in the movie DLC. The acts, challenges, and white space in the main story cannot be played with the movie version of Shadow. Also, please note that the stages added in the movie DLC will not be compatible with online mode rankings. So, yeah, kind of a missed opportunity right there, but aside from all that stuff though, beggars can't be choosers, I guess. So, anyway, so as you can see on screen, we're now on to, without a doubt, is the coolest level in the game in my opinion, and that's what appears to be Animal Antics, mainly because you'll be forced to play as every single animal buddies in the whole entire game, apart from one, which appears to be that particular, well, the purple counterpart of Squawks the Parrot, despite the fact that the purple counterpart of Squawks doesn't do that much, apart from just lower you down. And aside from all that stuff, though, you'll be forced to play as, in this level anyway, that basically, though, you can able to play as not only Rambi, but also with the forms of On Guard, as well as Squitter, and even Squawks the Parrot, and finally, though, Rattly the Rattlesnake. So, although this will be unfortunate, though, is about the fact that this will be the last time we can able to actually play as those animal buddies, because once we get onto Donkey Kong Country 3 for the Game Boy Advance, most of these animal buddies will be taken out, or in some cases will be replaced, apart from a few exceptions, mind you. So either way, and by the way, in order to able to actually access to the final bonus area in the entire game, usually you have to able to use Squitter, the spider, and that's all you have to do basically. And as soon as you're able to actually try to hop into the bonus barrel, it actually takes you straight into the bonus area itself. However though, if you dare manage to able to accidentally try to activate the or in some cases if you accidentally hop into the wrong barrel, you cannot backtrack unless if you die at one point, which it's hard for me to say, but either way, regardless of such though, we somehow succeed at the end. So, and it may look like we've only down to 7 more DK Hero coins left. So, yeah, we are getting close to this point, folks. We are definitely getting pretty close. And right from the start, though, as you can tell, that we actually got ourselves a checkpoint barrel on this section this time. Because I'm pretty sure, unlike the original Super Nintendo version, that the checkpoint barrel was always located at the very beginning of the Squitter section. So it's nice about the fact that the remake version of the game does feel a bit generous when it comes to the placement of checkpoints sometimes, especially concerning for the fact that Animal Antics as a level itself is pretty challenging. I'm not gonna lie for saying this, especially because most people seem to have a lot of hard time with this section in a Brambles section where you have to take control of you know, Squawks the Parrot while trying to avoid a lot of those brambles, and not to mention though we have to do with the most annoying gimmick, which is of course the wind. So yeah, that's something it's worth noting for. So, and as a result, we accidentally died, but that's okay, because we've already got the midway point. And straight to the point, though, is about the fact that I'm pretty sure getting the forms of not only the camera picture is going to be on the Squawks the Parrot section, but as well as on that, though, I'm pretty sure the gold feather is going to be at the very end of the level. At least to be more specifically, though, whenever we get on to Rattly the Rattlesnake section. So yeah, that's as far as I can try to describe about it. So, anyway, man, I'm really gonna miss this particular, you know, sticker brush symphony music, because aside from all that stuff, though, it sounds so amazing. Either on the original Super Nintendo version, or the Game Boy Advance version, so yeah, it's nice to be able to actually hear this amazing soundtrack at the very least. So, anyway, There's also another thing else that's worth noting for, actually. There's actually a brand new teaser trailer that's about to be coming up, or it did manage to already happen ever since around a couple of days ago, and something tells me about the fact that yes indeed, Bandai Namco has indeed managed to mention something related to Pac-Man once again, except this time around though, it's going to be a part of the 45th anniversary of Pac-Man. So, I wonder what specific stuff they'll try to do with Pac-Man himself. I suppose we'll find out more about it, probably at some point until 2025, along the same lines as the Super Mario Bros. 40th anniversary coming up soon. So chances are those about the fact that my expectations with those two video game mascots between both Pac-Man and Mario is pretty high for my expectations. Well, at least I'm really hoping about the fact that it'll turn out to be a lot more better and hyped, unlike the forms of how it does it. Well, don't get me wrong though, I still managed to really enjoy the 35th anniversary of the Super Mario Bros. Back in June in 2020, despite 2020 years the worst year we've ever experienced by far. And generally speaking, despite the fact that there are some controversial opinions in regards to the forms of, a compilation game that is usually it's all emulated, and on top of all that stuff though, with the limited release run, and yeah, you probably get the idea about that. So anyway, so now we're on to the final section in Animal Antics level, and simply just go on to the left right here, and soon enough you're able to actually just to bounce onto not only some more, oh jeez, that was close. And fundamentally speaking, there's the final golden feather in the entire version of the game. So, and despite the fact I just got hit by that red zinger, but that's okay, because thankfully though we got the DK barrel, and I wasn't hesitating. So, oh jeez. If I do die at one point, then I have to restart that particular bramble section again. So, yeah, that won't be that fun if you keep on dying a lot, so again, that's to be expected when it comes to difficulty and all that stuff towards the end anyway, so... Alright, so this is where it gets a little bit tricky, and okay, so far so good. And now we go on to the final part that is all about timing requirements, because if you time it a little bit too early, well, chances are you have to restart, so yeah, that won't be that fun, so... And there it is, folks, we somehow made it towards the end of Animal Antics level. So with that being said, and boom, we somehow got an extra life back. So, nice. And so far we're now on 96 lives, or technically 97 lives, because like I said as before, once the life counter reaches 0, we still only got one chance left. So with that being said, before we take on the true final boss in the game, at least to be more specifically, a rematch with Captain K. Rool, but with a different stipulations, and that's for the fact that, well, as you can tell, we're about to be getting into the final Expressor race in the entire game. And this is going to be a lot more tougher, because as you can see, all these other Expressors right there has almost maxed out their status, although luckily though, we've already maxed out every single status, so this means about the fact that we don't have to necessarily try to worry about the ultimate challenge when it comes to specific status limitations. But either way, the 7th and the final race begins, and as you can see, there's a lot of like spikes everywhere, and not to mention though, similar to the forms of how it does on the previous race, basically though, we got able to actually walk onto this very narrow part of the track, and just in case you don't fall off, and I accidentally did right there, but that's okay, because we on the first lap, of course, so fundamentally speaking, things will change until whenever we get on to lap 2, all the way up to lap 3, so that's besides the point, so... But anyways though, also another thing else is worth noting for actually, is about the fact that I do somehow manage able to find out that apparently though, there's a lot of controversial opinions. There was actually that particular, unexpectedly, there was actually this very cool re-release of this Wallace and Gromit compilation thing, which that's what appears to be called. Well, at least to be more specifically in the UK as of now, that's what appears to be Wallace and Gromit The Collection, which I know for the fact that that name is a little bit weird. I'm guessing it's probably because no matter what though, Vengeance Most Foul is almost getting closer to its release, and in fact around that time is about the fact that we've only got about 13 more days left until that particular film is about to be releasing on BBC One or BBC iPlayer if you can't be bothered able to watch TV broadcasts and all that stuff. So yeah, that's as far as we can able to expect to come. So anyway, so we somehow became victorious when it comes to every single espresso racing. So that means not only we get ourselves the next DK Hero coin, and it's also worth noting for we've got the next camera picture. And so much so, if you're probably wondering, how do we get the final camera item in the game? Well, basically though, we need to head back into the main world, at least to be more specifically, any of those main worlds in particular. Like, for instance though, we're going back into K-Rool's Keep by go ahead and trying to find Kong College right here, to able to meet up with the forms of Wankley Kong here. And as a result, if we check on the homework for the final time, and basically as you can see, we've filled up 14 pages so far, and this means no matter what though, we can not only try to get ourselves the final photo, but also the final DK Hero coin in the whole entire version of the game. So this means we've officially became the #1 podium in regards to the forms of Cranky's video game heroes now. So this means about the fact that, well, it is kind of unfortunate about the fact that as soon as we're able to go back into the Lost World for the final time, so much so for the fact that we can able to actually instantly decide able to go into the Golden Barrel, rather than just trying to able to fight against with this particular thing right there. So either way, let's get into the true final boss in the whole entire game, Crocodile Core. So in some cases though, we're now on 100% at this point, although technically speaking though, it's about the fact that we are getting very close to 102%. So yeah, the entire scrapbook itself has officially been accomplished. So yeah, everything else goes all fine and dandy and everything. So although, kind of thinking about it though, is about the fact that I would have liked able to explain more details about the forms of other stuff worth noting for. Like, for instance though, with such a controversial opinion about the forms of the 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray release of Wallace and Gromit The Collection. But let's just say, for the sake of time though, I'll let some toy sales will mention more about it probably in another time, because, well, straight to the point though is about the fact that we're now entering the final stretch of Donkey Kong Country 2 for the Game Boy Advance, and straight to the point though is about the fact I can't even believe we somehow almost caught up in terms of the rest of the Donkey Kong games when it comes to doing Let's Plays department. I mean, sure, there are a few games I would like to tackle at some point, probably at some point until next year, for 2025, but honestly folks, that's as far as we can able to point things out right away. So with that being said, let's get into Crocodile Core, and basically though, we can have a rematch against with Captain K. Rool for the final time. And luckily though, unlike the forms of how it does it in K. Rool's Duel, in the forms of in World 7, this particular stage right here, or should I say the true final boss as far as I'm aware, all we have to do, we need to simply try to dodge a lot of his attacks, and that's pretty much about it. Until we realize about the fact that he will shoot out the barrel, and as soon as we jump on the actual barrel, it reveals the cannonball, and that way we can able to deal with the final blow with Captain K. Rool in Donkey Kong Country 2. So either way, and of course, as to be expected, we need to avoid those little blue smoke right there, because otherwise, if you dare touch them, you'll be frozen, and there is no way for you to able to actually break free from it. So yeah, it's all about, you know, precise timing with jumps and ducking, and not to mention though, it's all about, you know, try not to be so hasty at the same time. Well, kind of. I don't know. I just can't be able to focus right now, just in case I don't want to get too much distractions when it comes to, like, all that commentary and what have you. Ah, oh, jeez. Okay. Oh, okay. Alright. Okay, so that's about it. And boom! Captain K. Rool has officially been done for good. And thankfully, we don't have to jump over that particular cannonball this time. So, and there we go, the Lost World has fully completed, and it's also worth noting for, well, the day is saved. So as a result though, I can't believe my eyes, once again you have beaten that lizard face freak. DK is back, and straight to the point though, well, we can now able to celebrate for reals this time. Although, I do apologize for my commentary when it comes to reading in-game text, feels a bit kind of awkward sometimes, so either way though, and it looks like the falls of the entire island is about to crumble or in some cases sunk, if you will. So it may look like about the fact that Captain K. Rool is about to be gated away, so I'm guessing he wants revenge until for next time. So, although, luckily though, Funky Kong decides to come in and decide able to drop a bomb right at the forms of Captain K. Rool. So, in some cases though, yeah, that's pretty much about it basically. There's no credits or anything else like that, so instead we immediately going back into the main menu. So, and what's also very disappointing is about the fact that we didn't get a chance to see the updated version of this particular Cranky's Video Game Heroes award ceremony thing. So it's kind of a bit of a bummer though. My guess is about the fact that in order to see it again, we need to beat the likes of Captain K. Rool on K. Rool's duel again. I'm guessing that makes it a little bit more obvious more than ever. So there we go folks, we somehow completed Donkey Kong Country 2 within 102%, and I somehow beat the game within about 5 hours and 11 minutes, so not bad for the timing. So, now before we end off the Let's Play of this game right here, did you know there's actually some few secrets we can able to actually just try to show you guys? Like, for instance though, as you can see on the left, there's this very cool mode, which appears to be Diddy's Dash. Now, there's also some bonus games here and there as well, but the bonus games, on the other hand though, these are basically just the exact same mini-games as we saw throughout the whole main game. So for now, let's go ahead and show off the cool mode, which is kind of like a similar mode as in Time Attack mode from the original Donkey Kong Country for the Game Boy Advance, but instead it's now going to be called Diddy's Dash, where basically though is about the fact that it's basically Time Attack basically, that you go through several other levels you've already been into from the main game, and as a result though you have to compete your best time record. So for instance though, let's demonstrate with one of those levels in particular, which appears to be Pirate Panic level, and my goodness, it's been a very long while since we actually experienced the first stage of this version of the game, like relatively speaking though, like at all. So okay, there are a few rare occasional moments about the fact that, as you can tell, we've come across into checkpoints at one point, and it's also worth noting for too, I believe if you do manage to able to ride on the animal buddy, like for instance Rampy right here, and I believe if you try to able to actually beat the likes of the forms of several enemies right here, like those little squeaky mouse looking enemies, basically though your clock will be frozen for a few seconds, kind of like the forms of how it does on the Crash Bandicoot Time Attack kind of system. However though, it's hard for me to explain because I somehow do not touch this mode at all on the my original cartridge version of the game, but that's just mainly because, well, I don't usually spend most of my time in Diddy's Dash, but it's just a nice little distraction, I guess, if you're really up for the test when it comes to likely trying to compete against with the actual specific best time record and all that stuff. So either way though, I'm also able to see one more level for the sake of Diddy's Dash. I don't think it's possible we can do all of them, because let me tell you something is about the fact that I'm not very great at time attack speedruns, because as you can see, if you get hit, well, you somehow respawn back to the start of the level, so that's always something. So, and it's also worth noting for as well, there is no DK barrels to be found, like we can't able to actually get out Dixie Kong or something. So, but yeah, that's about it for Diddy's Dash. And as far as I'm aware, the bonus games are just simply just the mini games we've already experienced from the main adventure. So, but that's not the reason why we've came here in the first place, because now we can show off this one last thing before we end off this entire Let's Play here. And did you know, this game does have cheat codes? So I believe there's only like 9 of them. So as a result though, we'll go in and try to go onto this cheats menu right here. In order to able to actually see the cheats menu is about the fact you have to go onto the options and all that stuff. So yeah, with that being said, let's go ahead and see what really happens on this cheat menu. So I believe, for instance though, it's about the fact that there's this code right here, which appears to be freedom, and if you're trying to able to actually access that particular code, basically though, this will pretty much unlocks every single levels. So yeah, that's always swell. And there's also another code which appears to be help me. I believe that particular code will allow you to able to start the game off with 15 lives. So that's something worth noting for. And there's also another code which actually says credits. No, not the ones with the C letter, but to be more specifically, the K letter, just for the sake of the Fonts of the Kremlings references or anything else like that. So, yeah, if you insert credits right here, it actually shows the game staff credits. So if you want to see that again, well, by all means, you can do that. So, anyway, and there's also another code which actually allows you being able to actually type in one time. Basically, though, this will pretty much opens up the music player menu, which if you couldn't tell already, unfortunately though, we somehow made a mistake earlier. That's just mainly because I did not notice there's actually two different ends, which I'm not exactly sure what that's supposed to be exactly, but either way though, I might try that again later, because for now on though, I get the strong feeling about the fact that, well, I somehow did not pay attention to that particular end without the actual odd little wiggly thing on above. But that's just mainly because no matter what though, I'm almost assuming it's going to be exclusive to the European version or something with that particular odd end placement there. Well, mainly though, I suppose I'll try that again later. So anyway, the next code we have is Rich Man, and I believe if you insert that, that will allow you to able to start the game with 10 banana coins. So that'll be a welcoming addition, at least assuming if you do manage to able to like spending most of your banana coins with not only with bonus bonanza, but as well as trying to get those specific hints and all that stuff when it comes to collectibles, and you pretty much name the rest. So anyways, so the next code we have is the Fonts of Rockade. This code will allow players to able to remove DK barrels and star barrels. So this means star barrels are checkpoints, and if you do manage to activate that code, this will pretty much gives us the hard mode of the game. So yeah, be prepared for that. So, and the next code we have is Weakling, and if you manage to insert that code, this will give you 55 lives when you start the game. So here's a nice little cheat to have, especially if you're having a hard time with the game by far, then by all means you can able to do that. So, but honestly though, I'm probably not going to do that because, well, we've already beaten the game. So anyway, the next code we have is Wellhead, which that pretty much removes only DK barrels. So, well, at least you're still able to keep the checkpoint barrels, so that's always something. So, and the final code we have is Well Rich, and basically though, if you insert that code, it actually starts the game off with 50 banana coins, so you'll be rich by then. So this means you can able to spend most of your banana coins for, you know, hints, alongside with the bonus bonanza areas with Swanky Kong. So yeah, you can able to do just that. So yeah, that's as far as I can try to think about it. Oh, did you know about the fact that recently during the Fonts around a couple of days ago, out of nowhere, we've already got ourselves the new overview trailer for Donkey Kong Country Returns HD already, and suffice to say though is about the fact that I believe that particular trailer though does not bring anything new, apart from one thing that you probably not even realize, and unfortunately though, for the sake of the Fonts of the time, as you can tell, unfortunately though, I was originally trying to able to mention about that particular topic, but unfortunately though, I don't have enough time to say this. So, oh, there we go, that's the code I was looking for. So, yeah, one-time code, if you do manage to able to, you know, activate that cheat right here, and if we go on to end, well, if I somehow click it on here, basically, it just takes us to the music player, which you can able to listen to the background music and all that stuff. So, yeah, that's something you might able to classify if able to try to get the sound test in the entire game. So, yeah, that's as far as we're able to talk about in terms of Donkey Kong Country 2 for the Game Boy Advance. And for my final thoughts of this game, though, it's actually really dang good. I think it's suffice to say, though, it's a really great remake of Donkey Kong Country 2 for the Super Nintendo and transfer it into the Game Boy Advance. And suffice to say, though, with new content in mind, I think this is the most recommendable version of Donkey Kong Country 2, despite the fact that you have to deal with the fontless washed out colors for certain sprites. But apart from those side things though, Donkey Kong Country 2 as a game itself is still by far my favorite. in terms of the fonts of the Donkey Kong Country games I've ever played. It's actually it's very challenging, and it is extremely fun. And as a result, though, you should probably still recommend playing this game either on the original Super Nintendo version or the Game Boy Advance version, so I'll let you guys decide. So yeah, this is me, Silver the Hedgehog, from the likes of the Mexi Toys. And up next, in terms of the Donkey Kong series of Let's Plays, up next it will be Donkey Kong Country 3 for the Game Boy Advance, alongside with this notorious Game Boy Color version of Donkey Kong Country, and maybe DK King of Swing. We're not exactly 100% sure about that. So yeah, I'll let you guys know about it. So I'll see you guys then. Bye.